Hey everybody, my name is Russell Brunson. I want to welcome you to our Funnelology course. Today I'm going to be talking about the new art and science of funnel building. And we're going to be going over a lot of the core concepts about how to build a funnel, how to build an offer, how to have value ladders, ascension funnels, and then all the different types of funnels throughout the value ladder. What are the lead funnels? What are the unboxing funnels? What are the presentation funnels? What are the high ticket funnels? And it's going to be a lot of fun. Now my guess is that during this training, there's different people listening to this, and for some of you guys, some of these concepts are going to be review. Some of you guys, everything I say is going to be brand new, and you're going to be freaking out the first time around. I want to recommend that if you are someone who's advanced and you're looking at this, pay attention because there's a lot of new things I'm going to be introducing. There'll be similar frameworks you're familiar with, but there's going to be new stuff weaved in through every single presentation as well. And I think that everyone's going to get a ton of value, whether you've been doing this for a decade or a decade and a half like me, or if you're a brand new beginner who's trying to figure out how in the world can I grow my business online with sales funnels. For both of you guys, this course is called Funnelology is going to help you. I call it the new art and science of funnel building because the first time I ever taught this, I spent the first 10 years of my career online doing funnel building. I launched tons of different companies. We had weight loss companies, we had diabetic neuropathy companies, we had speed reading companies, we had baby sign language, potato gun DVDs, we had all sorts of products and services where I was building funnels and doing this. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided to start teaching people about this. And I wrote my very first book ever called .com Secrets, which was the first real introduction to sales funnels and how people can use funnels to grow companies. And about the same time we launched the book, we launched our software company, ClickFunnels, and hand in hand, that became the guidebook to help people actually use funnels inside their business. And for the last 5 years, it's been really fun watching people grow huge companies off of that foundation. Now, what's been fun is right now my third book is coming out really, really soon, and I had a really short window to have a chance to actually rewrite the .com Secrets book. And it's funny, the first edition was 58,000 words. I deleted 30,000 words, and then the book ended up being, I think, 94,000 words. So it's a lot bigger. So even though some of the concepts in the book and some of the concepts you may have heard before, there's a lot of new stuff weaved into it that I think you guys are going to love and you're going to get obsessed about. If you geek out like me on funnels, you're going to love everything we're talking about today. So that's what this new presentation is really based on, a lot of the core methodologies they're taught in the new .com Secrets book. And it should give you guys a really good foundation to prepare yourself for whatever business you're in, okay? So what I recommend is while you're going through this training course is sit back, take out a pad of paper, take out some notes, and as you're learning the concepts, only take notes on it, but at the same time, start thinking about it in the lens of your business. Like, how would this work in my business? How would this piece work? And start thinking about those things because you start visualizing and seeing how this would fit in your business. The more you visualize it, the more it becomes real to you, and the more likely you are to actually use that as a tool. I don't know about you, but I my entire career, I struggled in school. I think a lot of times it was because I was sitting there, I listened to the teacher talking and telling me stories, and I'd be trying to pay attention, I'd take notes, but I'm like, I have no context of how this is valuable in my life. And so because of that, we'd go right in one ear and right out the other one just as fast, right? And so for me, education got exciting when I had something to actually apply it to. As soon as I had a business and I learned something, I'm like, that's interesting. And I tried it and it worked. All of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I want to learn everything I can. And I started reading books and buying courses and going to seminars and events and everything I could do to dump in ideas into this side of my brain so I could test them over here. And the ones that worked and the ones that stuck, we started using over and over and over again. And through that process, I was able to build companies that have done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And so my goal for you is that I don't want this stuff just to bounce off, go in one ear and out the other one. I want it to be meaningful to you. I want you to be able to use it. So as I'm telling you about, think about how could I apply that to the business that I have or the idea I have, or maybe I'm a consultant for somebody else's business. How would I apply these things to help grow their company? And if you do that, these things will mean a lot more to you and remember them better, and hopefully they'll serve you at a much higher level, okay? So I'm gonna jump right in. And again, there's gonna be a lot of foundational stuff today. Be going over the secret formula and value ladders today. And then tomorrow we're gonna go deeper into each of the different phases of the value ladder. What are the funnels at the bottom of the funnel of the value ladder? What are the funnels in the second tier and the third tier and the fourth tier of the value ladder? And I'm gonna be going very, very deep into detail of what the funnels are, what they look like, what does page 1 look like, and page 2 and page 3. So we'll get to that tomorrow, but today I really want you guys to understand the foundational stuff. Because if you don't have these foundations, it's really hard to build a funnel. When you do have them, building funnels is the easiest part of the entire equation. So this first session, I call this the secret formula, okay? And the secret formula is a really simple process that when I wrote the .com Secrets book initially, it kind of mapped out this entire funnel building process in like a couple really, really quick images, okay? And so if you look at how it works, the first part of the secret formula is who. Who is the person you actually want to serve? I'm gonna dive deeper into this. But who is the person you want to serve? That's number one, okay? The second question is, where are those people? Okay, if I know I want to serve this type of person, where are they already congregating? So here's a lake and there's some fish. Okay, so that's the second thing. It's like, where are my people? Okay, then the third part of the value ladder is, now that I know who they are, I know where they are, what is the bait that I'm going to use? There's a fishing pole to go and capture these fish. What's the bait I'm going to use? Okay. And then the last step here is, after I've caught this person, I've caught this bait, I brought him in, then where am I taking him? This is the little mountain here. Where is the summit that I'm trying to take them to? What's the result I'm trying to get for my dream customer? Okay. And one of the big updates that we made to the .com Secrets book, as you'll see when you guys have a chance to read it in the near future, is that this step we kind of identify like what is actually bait. And so if you look at what bait is inside of bait, it's kind of a 3-step process we're gonna go through today as well. It's hook, and then story, and then offer. And this kind of encompasses what your bait is. Your bait is your hook, your story, and your offer, okay? So that's kind of what the secret formula is. It's a very simple process, but it really encompasses all of business. Who do I want to serve? Where are those people at? What can I use to get them? And then after I get them, how can I actually serve them? Okay, and that's what the secret formula looks like. So if you look here on my slides, this is kind of a doodle of that. So who, where, bait, and result. Now I want to go a little bit deeper into each of these aspects because I'm sure most of you guys just heard that. You're like, okay, cool, I got it. It's like, no, like each of these things, they could and should do an entire like college semester on each of these different aspects because they're so vitally important to what you're doing. Okay, so the first one I go to is who. Who is your dream customer? Who is that person that you want to serve? Okay, now I always tell people this, that if you're not careful, what most entrepreneurs do is they get excited about a product, they create a product, they start selling it, and they never think about who it is they actually want to serve. They're thinking about this idea they have in this product and want to launch it. Okay, and I got started my entrepreneur journey. That's exactly what I did. I got excited about a product, I created it, I built it, I started selling it, and I didn't think once about who I wanted to sell it to. I just started selling it, and some people started buying it, I got excited, more people bought it, and one day, like 3 years down the road, I woke up, and I remember laying in bed, sitting there, and I was so miserable. I was making really good money. I had all the things you would think were like what gives you a perfect lifestyle. And I'm laying there and I was like, I wish that I had a boss so that he would fire me and I wouldn't have to go in the office today. And I started sitting there thinking, like, why do I feel this way? And I realized the reason why is because I created some really good products that attracted the wrong people into my world. And I wasn't obsessed with my customer. I didn't like him. I didn't even want to see him. I always thought about this. I said, if I was to go on a cruise or go hang out with somebody, or go to an event surrounded by my dream customers, would I be like, hey guys, let's go hang out? Or would I be like, oh man, I gotta go hide. And I realized like I wanted to hide. I didn't love the people I was serving. And because of that, I was miserable. And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom, my business was collapsing and failing, I was miserable, that I sat back, and I remember I had a friend, Eben Pagan, some of you guys know Eben. He had a training out there talking about your dream customer avatar. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, I never thought about it. I create a product and I sell it. That's what entrepreneurs do. And he was like, no. You got to figure out who is it you actually want to serve. Who is your dream customer avatar? That's where you start. And he gave the suggestion. He said, go to Google Images and actually find images of the people who your dream avatar could be. And I thought, at first I remember thinking that was like the cheesiest thing in the world. But I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I went to Google Images and I said, okay, who's my dream customer? What do they look like? And I went and I first started, I wanted to find 2 avatars. I wanted to find a male avatar and a female avatar. So I went there and I went to Google Images. I typed in the name. So I said, okay, I'm going to name my avatar. I'm going to call her Julie. And I said, okay, now what do I know about Julie? Well, Julie, if she's my dream customer, she's successful, she's driven. So she has a message she wants to share with the world. She values her own personal growth over money. She already has her business to 6 figures a year. She just wants to grow it to the next level. I typed those things in, and all of a sudden all these faces popped into Google Images. I'm scrolling through, and eventually I found this face right here. Now, I don't know who she actually is, but this is my Julie. This is Julie who popped out of Google Images for me. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like someone I want to hang out with. I was going to an event, I'd be like, hey Julie, what's up? We should hang out and be friends. So I took a picture of this off Google Images, and I put it in a frame, and I had it on my wall. I said, this is Julie. This is my dream customer that I want to serve. Okay, and that was my first person. The next person I said is, well, who's my male counterpart? Like, who would I want to serve on the male side? And I remember I said, okay, I'm going to call this guy Mike. And so I called him Mike, typed in Google, I typed in a bunch of things. I typed in former athlete, has changed someone's life in a small way and wants to share it with more. He values growth over money. Already has God's business 5 figures a year, but wants to grow it to 6 and 7 and beyond. I typed all that stuff into Google Images, and boom, this picture popped out of Mike. And I was like, Mike looks awesome. I would totally go hang out with this guy. We'd have so much fun. We talked about marketing and business and sports. And I would love to hang out with Mike. So I took his picture, I printed it out, put it on my wall, and I had my Mike and my Julie. Now, I tell you this story because I was kind of almost doing it initially as a joke. So I'm like, this is not like something that's actually gonna work, right? But I did it, put them on the wall, and I started thinking about it. When I was trying to create different products, I look at them and I'm like, is this something that Mike and Julie would want? Is this something that my dream customer would actually want? Okay, if I said this in an ad, would that get them to like come towards me, or would that repel and make them push away from me? I started thinking about these things, and it shifted my mindset on so many things, from how we created products to the different ads we made and all sorts of things like that. Now, kind of a funny backstory. Some of you guys know I've ran an Inner Circle mastermind program for the last 6 or 7 years. And this year I actually put it on pause for a little while. My kids are going to be starting high school next year and a bunch of other things. And I just wanted, and not so much wanted, but I needed and wanted. I needed both. But I needed to block out time because I want to spend more time with my kids. And so something had to go. And I had this amazing mastermind program that's making me tons of money. And I went to all my people and I paused it. And I said, hey, I'm going to pause it for a couple of years just so I can get, my kids through high school and all those kind of things. And it was a sad, emotional thing. This is actually my Inner Circle room where I meet with my Inner Circle members a couple of times a year. And it was really sad. And I remember as I was sitting out there and I was talking to them the last meeting, and I looked out and they're all there. And I told them about this story. I said, you know what's crazy? I said, 5 or 6 years ago, I built out this customer avatar. And I started, I went through and I pulled up Julie. I started talking about like who Julie was. And I said, who here in this room is a Julie? And literally all the women's hands raised up. They're like, that's me. And then sitting right there was Julie Stoyan. And Julie's like, I've had so many people who read the Dot-Com Secrets book and asked if this Julie was me. Because it's like fits her to a T. And I was like, I said, because I put that out 5 years ago, all the decisions and choices I made led to a room full of Julies. And then I talked about the Mike, and I explained the Mike person. I said, who here is a Mike? And all the men raised their hand. I was like, isn't it fascinating? This little tweak that I made 5 or 6 years ago just to define who do I want to serve, and then figuring out the products and services that they would want, as opposed to me being like, this would make me money, this would be a good thing I could sell. I shifted it to focus on them first, and because of that little choice, that little hinge, swung this huge door that now 5 or 6 years later, I had a mastermind with over 100 people in it, paying $50,000 a year to be part of it, and they're all filled with my dream customers. Okay, people I would want to hang out with anyway. And so that's the power. So that's the very first step is who. Becoming super clear on who it is you want to serve. Okay, if you're listening to me right now and you're like, I hate my customers, it's probably because you did what I did. Okay, it's okay to change, especially now, the beginning of a year. Now is the best time in the world to change. In fact, I made this decision. It was right after New Year's. And there was a video that Tony Robbins and his wife Sage put out. They were in Fiji, and I remember that they're sitting there talking, and Tony Robbins said, he said, we can change anytime we want all year long. A lot of people during New Year's, they give themselves permission to actually change. And he says, I challenge you that if you're in a relationship you don't like, you should change it. He said, if you're in a business you don't like, you should change it. If you're in a whatever, and you name 4 or 5, if you're in a body you're not happy with, you should change it. And I remember sitting there, and this is when I made this decision of like, I'm going to change my customers because Tony gave me permission. So I want to give you guys permission. Just because you've gone a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down a business does not mean you can't shift it. You can't change it. I did. And on the other side of that, so much more happiness and fulfillment, it'll be worth it to you. Okay, so that's number one, is who is your dream customer? Okay, second question, I was like, where are these people actually congregating? Okay, it becomes really easy when you realize like exactly who this person is. Okay, this is what the person is, what they do, what they like. And the better you get to know who this person is, the better you're gonna be at figuring out where are they actually congregating, okay? Like where do they spend their time? I made a list last night of just some things to start thinking about where, okay? What are the top websites your dream customers already go to every single day? Okay, what forums or message boards do they participate in? What are the Facebook groups they participate in? Who are the influencers they follow on Facebook and on Instagram? What podcasts they listen to? What are the email newsletters they're subscribed to? What blogs do they read? What channels they follow on YouTube? What keywords are they searching for in Google to find information? Okay, this is where your dream customers are congregating, where they're at. Okay, so your job as a marketer is to figure out, I got to find out where these people are. Okay, it's funny, I just wrote this book, Traffic Secrets, and whenever I talk to people about traffic, they think it's this magic mystery of like, okay, well, how do I do it? Like, what are the keywords? What are the things? And they're always like worried about all the algorithms. I'm like, look, traffic is really simple when you think about it. It's just figuring out who your dream customer is and figuring out where they're congregating. Okay, one of my favorite stories, I'm sure most of you guys have heard me tell the story before, but when I was in high school and college, I was a wrestler. I wrestled in Utah growing up. I was a state champ there. Wrestled a year at Brigham Young University, and they cut their wrestling program, so I came to Boise State, and I had my last 4 years here at Boise State. And I remember it as much as I love my people, my wrestlers, we're not always the smartest group in any bunch. And because most of us were struggling to make grades, they made it mandatory for every single wrestler, you had to go to study hall every single night. So every single night, practice would get done, we'd all go home, we'd eat, and then we'd drive over to study hall, and all the wrestlers would be in study hall because we were all struggling in school. And so we're sitting there doing homework, and I remember every single day doing this, and I remember it's probably 2 or 3 months into my sophomore year, and I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to do my homework, and then I'm like thinking about wrestling, thinking about my match coming up, and thinking about other things, and there was a website that me and all of the wrestlers always congregated at. And it was themat.com. Mat has kind of shrunk in the last few years, and for my wrestlers, there's bigger ones out there that are better, but themat.com was the place when I was in college. And so I remember I'd go to mat.com and I get sucked into like the message boards and like talking about this wrestler versus this wrestler and thing after thing, and like that was my place. Those were my people, right? We hung out, we had a good time, and that's where we spent all of our time is all congregating here in this one spot. Okay, and I remember kind of a funny story one day as I was in there. I had to go to the bathroom. I stood up. I started walking out, and I was looking over. I started looking at the other wrestlers. I noticed that like our 133 pounder was on the mat.com. Our heavyweight was on the mat.com. Our 187 pounder. I was looking. I'm like, oh my gosh! All of the wrestlers in Boise in study hall are literally in this one spot right now talking about wrestling. I was thinking, I'm sure it's not just Boise State. I bet you every single college campus in the country, the wrestlers are in study hall right now, and we're all on the exact same website. And it's not just happening in college, it's happening in high school, it's happening for people that have already graduated, it's happening in other countries. Like the entire world, everyone who cares about wrestling is all congregating in this one spot. So my question for you is, if you're selling a wrestling product, where do you go to throw your bait in? Right? You just find out where are the wrestlers congregating, and you throw out your bait right there. I remember when I was in the mat.com, I would see there'd be ads on the side for the Granby System Wrestling thing and Ken Chiarotow's wrestling camps and the Sioux Plays Dummies. Like all the ads were all in there all the time, right? They were all people throwing their hooks in, trying to grab people out of this pond. Okay, so same thing's true for you. As soon as you get a clear picture of who this person is, then you figure out where they're congregating. Okay, and if you don't know where this is at, it means you got to start getting deeper into your dream customer. Okay, you got to start figuring out what podcasts they listen to. Okay, if you're not listening to the same podcast they are, you're going to struggle to speak to them because you're not going to know the language they're already listening to. You're not going to hear what other people are saying to them. Okay, so you got to find out what are the podcasts my dream customers listen to and you should be listening. What are the Facebook groups that are on? You need to get inside those groups and be part of them and participate. Okay, you got to become part of these communities, and that's going to help you understand how to come in here and throw your bait in. Okay, all right. So that takes us now to number 3. So who's your dream customer? Where are they congregating? Now, what is the bait? The bait we're going to throw in. Now we found this congregation, we got to throw something in here to try to capture them, try to grab them, right? And so in the past, I always said just throw out bait. But in the new version of the .com Secrets book, I talk about how bait is actually this concept called hook, story, offer, right? We have this thing, we throw our bait in and we have a hook, okay? So if you think about it, they're in this forum, they're in this community, and visualize this. Right, here's this person. This is your dream customer. They're hanging out in this community, and they're on their. This is a phone. They're on their phone, and they're seeing all these. All day they're sitting there scrolling. They're reading things. They're commenting. They're seeing stuff, and you're coming here and you're throwing this hook in to try to grab their attention just for a second. Okay, so the first part of the process, you grab the hook to grab them. We're gonna go deeper in this. You grab their hook, okay, and if you do it right, you get attention just for a second. Then you have this little window of opportunity now that you've got their attention. You have this window where you have a chance to tell them a story. And the goal of the story is to build a relationship and connection with you, okay? And then to increase the perceived value of whatever it is you're about to sell to them. Okay, so let me say it again. So the goal, the hook grabs their attention just long enough you can tell them a story. The story builds a connection with you and the person, okay? And then gives you the ability to increase the perceived value of the thing you're gonna offer them, and then you make them an offer. Okay, so it's hook. Yeah, hook, story, offer. This is the framework. I'm gonna go deeper into this here in a second. We hook them, tell them a story, and we make them an offer. Okay? And that's how you get somebody from this community to be able to get their attention so you can actually start serving them. Okay? Now, it's interesting. I'm gonna show you guys this right here. So this was the first bait, the first thing that we put out there that was specifically to grab my dream customer. Okay, this was my hook to grab Mike and a Julie. Now, prior to this, just so you guys know, before I had this 108 split test book, most of the things I was selling, like how to get rich quick on the internet, how to make money on eBay, how to make money doing that, like there are all these things that were like, they were attracting the wrong kind of person. It wasn't attracting entrepreneurs, it attracted them who wanted to get rich quick, right? Which those are the customers I didn't like, that I didn't want to spend time with, okay? So I wrote this book, 108 split test winners. And it was interesting. I took my existing customer list and I promoted it. I'm like, hey, I wrote this new book, 108 split test winners. And of my, I don't know, 150, 200,000 subscribers I had at the time, the amount of people that bought this was maybe a dozen. Okay? So this bait I put out there, what did it do? I put this bait out here and the wrong customers came and looked at it and said, 108 split test, what does that even mean? Okay? And it repelled them. They're like, that sounds like a lot of work. So that it repelled them and they went away. Okay? But the right people, my dream customers said, 108 split tests, like, oh my gosh, if they're an entrepreneur, like these are Russell split tests, simple tweaks you can make to your funnel, like that bait attracted my dream customer. The Mikes and the Julies of the communities that we were putting this offer out, they heard it and they're like, oh my gosh, like that's the thing I need, that's what I need to do. And they raised their hand, they came and they bought it. Okay, what happened was interesting is that my huge list of all these business opportunity seekers who wanted to get rich quick on the internet, they stopped responding to my offers, okay? And eventually they all kind of faded away and they disappeared. And all of a sudden this new breed of entrepreneurs, the people that wanted to work hard, that believed in growth, that wanted to figure out the next level, those people saw this hook and it attracted them. They said, that's amazing. They came, they bought the hook. Okay, they saw me make an offer, tell them a story. Like, let me tell you a story about this book. I told them the story of the book. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I must buy it. I need this thing. Made an offer, go buy the book, and boom, it happened. Hook, story, offer. I started grabbing my dream customers out of this place right here and started coming into my world. And that literally is what shifted my whole future. Everything since then shifted because of that. Because I knew exactly who my customers were. I knew where they were at, and I created the bait that would attract the dream customers and repel the people I didn't want to work with. Does that make sense? Okay, so bait's the next thing here. Okay, so the question for you to start asking yourself is like, what's the bait you can create to attract your dream customer? Okay? And the sexier the bait, the more likely someone's gonna come to you, okay? In fact, if I go back one, it says change your bait, change your customer. Okay, if you don't like the customers coming in, change your bait. Change your bait, keep changing until it's like, oh, these are my people. These are the people I wanna actually spend time with, okay? Change your bait, change your customer. Okay, so start thinking through what's the bait you could create, okay, that you can go grab your dream people.